We're back with another mock draft. This is a PPR 12 team draft. I'm picking from the 7, so we'll get an idea of who I like at each spot, who I like at ADP, and I'll let you know my strategy as I'm doing it. We'll kick it off here. All right, Gibbs, Chase, Barkley, Bijan go top 4, Justin Jefferson, Lamb. That's about the normal 6 that you'll see go. And in this spot, I'm deciding between Malik Neighbors or Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown a lot. Here, look at these stats. 7, 3, 3 as his finishes. Touchdowns, 12, 10, 6 in the reverse order. Very good player, young on a great offense. Here, though, we've got an ascending player. It's not going to show his career, I guess, but I think he was wide receiver 6 last year. I don't think you could go wrong. Amon-Ra or Malik Neighbors are my choices here. I know some people will reach for Christian McCaffrey. That's not something I want to do. I want something a little more safe. I could see Amon-Ra and the Detroit Lions taking a step back this year with the number of changes that have happened in their offense. You know, if they take a step back and they're the same as Puka, if he's the same as Puka, he's the same as Malik, he's the same as Nico. I think I'm just going to take the upside shot here and say, give me Malik. Amon-Ra goes right after, and really, either one of those guys there is fine. Either one I'd be happy with. It comes back to us. We don't get Chan. Here's Drake London. That's looking good to me. If I was going running back, I would be happy with Bucky Irving. Here in ADP, it's Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I'm not considering those guys. Lad McConkey, I would not ever take over Drake London. Here, Brock Bowers, I might consider. I usually like Brock Bowers a little bit later, which means I don't get him a ton. The offense that the Raiders were running last year, didn't have a running back. Had one good receiver, didn't really have a quarterback. I don't trust that that's going to be the type of offense they want to run again. Because of what they had last year, Brock Bowers had 153 targets. That's a ton. I would expect that to come down a little bit with a more balanced attack, better rushing, better receivers, the offense not having to only flow through Brock. So here I'm deciding between Drake London or Bucky Irving, and I'm going to shoot my wide receiver shot and say, going with Drake London. I like him as a big upside play, probably a little more upside than someone like AJ Brown. You know, with Penix coming in there. Whoops, I did not mean to remove him. I meant to show the player card. You know, bad quarterback play was 31-37. And last year he finished as wide receiver 5 with Kirk Cousins a lot of the time. Now, I trust Michael Penix a little bit, just a little bit. But if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we were getting the 5th best receiver, and that was Drake London, I kind of like him in the second round. Here are what has come back to us. I might just go James Cook here. I've heard people saying, they're worried about the touchdowns repeating. I don't need them to repeat. Here with 2 touchdowns, 1,100 yards, running back 12, 4 receiving touchdowns that year. I don't need him to get 18 again. I'd be happy with 8. I'd be happy with 10. He's a really efficient runner. It's a really good offense. He can disappear some games. So I'm really just deciding between James Cook or Breece Hall, and we're hoping for the bounce back. His rookie season, he didn't play a ton. I think he was coming off of an injury. And then second year, good rushing numbers, 95 targets and receptions. I don't know that the 95 targets really comes back. He's a great rusher. He's a great receiving running back. He's a really good player. I don't know that we get back to that. I mean, if he's at running back 16, how many guys have gone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're shooting for him to be running back 14. That's reasonable. I think you could pick either one of these guys. I'm going to go with James Cook, but I would be just as happy with Breece Hall. I was not considering Tyreek Hill at that spot. I was not considering maybe Terry McLaurin. I didn't consider the quarterbacks there. That's just too early for me. And then I would have liked to have gotten Hampton, but it doesn't always work out. Here we have 4th round. It's still too early for me to take Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's a great player. Here, these 43 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. I don't know that 43 touchdowns repeats if he goes back to 36, 34 with a little bit more interceptions. Like, that just puts him into a good quarterback, but not a round 4 quarterback. I could consider Sam Laporta here and lock up tight end. I don't really like to wait very long to get a great tight end or a good tight end. In this spot, I think I'm just going to shoot for the upside with Ken Walker or the floor with Davante Adams. Davante Adams could be an excellent flex. He's just consistently putting up wide receiver 1 numbers. This finish of wide receiver 11, that was only in 14 games. So I'm expecting him to produce that. I don't really worry about Jimmy Garoppolo being the quarterback there because I'm not looking for him to be top 10. I'm looking for him to be top 18. And I think he's pretty safe to do that. Let's scan what other running backs might be there when we come back to us, like David Montgomery, Joe Mixon, RJ Harvey as an option. So if we took Davante Adams, we could get Harvey. That's something I like to do when I'm choosing between positions, like who's going to come back to us. We get Harvey there, or we could look for... There's not really anyone here that's jumping out to me. Waddle, Aaron Jones, Swift. None of those guys are big difference makers for me at running back. Where is Travion Henderson? 65. So let's go for Davante Adams and try to get Henderson at our next pick. Let's see how that goes. Let's just count this out. 65, yeah, it's reasonable that he'll be there with one of our next picks. So let's go Davante Adams. We'll have 3 great receivers and a solid flex. And now we can just shoot for big upside. Ken Walker goes at the turn. Cortland Sutton gone. Ken Walker going this close to David Montgomery seems a bit iffy to me. I think Ken Walker just has way higher upside. Okay, so we did not get Henderson. He went 1 pick there. I was fine with waiting for Henderson because I figured we would then have Harvey available to us. If they were both gone, I'd probably take the shot on Tet McMillan. And I don't panic. When we wanted a second running back, it didn't come to us. So we're not going to reach and say, go for Joe Mixon. What we're pivoting to mentally is saying, okay, we might need to trade Drake London. We might need to trade Malik Neighbors. We might need to trade Davante Adams to get a stronger running back room. But as long as we keep looking for guys that are good values and tradable, we'll be okay. Speaking of a guy that I think is a good value, TJ Hawkinson. I know people are down on him. He was coming back from an injury, but when he was playing with the Vikings, he's top 5 at tight end. Last year, I know people are worried, and I'll pull up the stats. Here, 2024, when he came back, the stat I keep coming back to is his snap percentage. Snap percentage is this column, 45, 46, 48 the first couple weeks, and then sitting in the 60s. He finally got up in week 18 to 78, but before that, 75, 80, 89, 80, I don't think he was playing a full snap share last year. So I'm not really worried about him. If we're looking at tight ends, we could grab him here or try and see if Travis Kelce falls to us. So because we have Kelce as an option, I'm going to shoot for, in this pick, I'm really choosing between Xavier Worthy, Hawkinson at tight end for upside, or Harvey. And I'm going to go for Harvey because I don't know that he would get back to us. I feel good that if we don't get Hawkinson, we could get Kelce. And then there's a lot of wide receivers in this range that one good one should fall back to us. Tet McMillan, I'd be fine with Pickens, Travis Hunter, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave. I'd be happy with all of those guys. Not quite in that order or to the same level of excitement. I'm going to go Harvey for a good running back upside. I would also consider shooting for Caleb Johnson in round 7, and I might still do that. So we don't get Hawkinson. Pacheco goes. I wasn't really considering Pacheco. I'm going to shoot for the upside there, and I think even if we are a little low at RB2, the rest of our players can make up for it, or we can make some trades. So here, Kelce fell to us. I know people are a little down on Kelce, just looking at the stats. In a year where the Chiefs' offense didn't have enough players to fully operate. They're missing Pacheco, they're missing Rashee Rice. The offense wasn't really able to get going fully. So I'm going to go with Travis Kelce and expect a little bit of a bounce back. I know he's an older guy, but I think he can still contend. I think he can still play. Okay, looking at who's come back to us, Quinshon Judkins just goes. I'm recording this the day after news breaking that there won't be any charges pressed. So I expect this will go back up. His ADP will rise a little bit. Let's take a look at other guys that have gone. Tony Pollard we could have considered in the 7th round, but he's taken at 612. Where's my boy Caleb? So we could take Caleb here to try to get a 3rd running back, or we could take Rome Odunze and hope for the 2nd-year breakout. In round 7 or round 8, I would also consider Jacoby Myers, but I'm not going to for this team because we already took Devontae Adams. That's like a really good floor option, like a really safe thing that we could fall back on. And because we have that, we could shoot for a little more upside. So that would open us up for Odunze or Caleb Johnson. Either one of these could heavily outproduce where they're being drafted. I'm going to go for Rome Odunze to take over the lead role in the Bears on a much better offense with Ben Johnson. I don't really see any quarterbacks in this range that I'm thinking of. We might target Kyler in the next round. That's a quarterback I really like, or Justin Herbert. Excuse me. So let's make this pick. Let's go Rome. Because if we get a hit, we can always trade for a running back. If Harvey isn't cutting it for us, as I'm thinking through this, if Rome hits, we could just trade Devontae Adams probably straight up for Alvin Kamara and be safe. At this pick, players available, like Travis Etienne is someone that's jumping out to me for the team that we have here. I also really like Matthew Golden, but because we have Odunze, that can free us up to take this shot on Etienne. In the 8th round, I want to bet on an ambiguous backfield, because if Travis Etienne just has this role again, he's been RB3. That doesn't happen by accident. You do have to be good to do that. A little bit of injury, a bad year overall, kind of a throwaway year for the Jags. So running back 35 when he missed some time. Trevor Lawrence missed a lot of time. I don't really look at these stats and say this is what's going to happen again. I know that we're not sure what's going to happen with the Jacksonville backfield, but in the 8th round, that's where you take the shot and say, I'm going to grab this guy. I might even grab Tank later and just get the guy that is good. Usually with these backfields, when we don't know, it is someone. It's not 50-50. It'll probably be a 65-35 split or something closer to that. We just don't know exactly who it's going to be. That's my best guess. So because of that, I'm going to go with ETN as one of my favorite options here. I could also consider Ricky Pearsall. And I'm going to try ETN and see if Justin Herbert falls to us. If he doesn't fall to us at the next pick, I'd be happy with Brock Purdy. I'd be happy waiting for Dak. There's just a lot of really good late options that in these early rounds, I don't want to spend a pick on a quarterback. I want to be shooting for upside. Because if you hit that upside, you can also just trade for a quarterback or a different position that you feel like you need. Kyler doesn't get back to us. Jordan Mason is another guy that I would have liked to have fall to us. We've got ETN, and then we have Mason in another ambiguous backfield. Let's look at players on the board. If we hadn't taken Travis Etienne, I'd say let's grab Javonte Williams. 9th round, take that shot and see. We don't need him to go back to early in his career when people thought he was going to be great. We just need him to be the lead guy on a good offense, and that would return value in the 9th round. Here, I'm going to lock up Justin Herbert. It's not an exciting pick. I think a lot of people aren't excited about Herbert. But when you look at his career, he does have QB2 upside. 38 touchdowns, 31. The numbers for last year, I don't really hold a lot of stock in. Going into last year, the story about the Chargers was that they had the worst receiving core in the league. And that's not really true this year. We've seen the development of Ladd McConkey. They've drafted a couple more guys into this room. They've added in Keenan Allen. Maybe Quentin Johnston becomes a serviceable third option. Like, he was drafted in the first round. We're not expecting him to meet those expectations anymore. But a third receiver? A decent helper? Maybe. And that's enough for Justin Herbert to be good. We could have also gone with Caleb Williams and gone for the upside. I think Herbert has a safe floor. And if it doesn't work, we're going to take another shot probably in the 12th round for someone. Here, this is just all looking like upside. We could have skipped Herbert in the 9th and taken Dak in the 10th. When Dak is healthy, he's very good. 17 games played, number 3 overall. 16 games played, QB 8. 16 games played, QB 2. He just had some missed time. Other options here. Sometimes I like going for Keon Coleman to have a small second-year breakout. You're taking him in the 10th. If you can get to 8th round value and maybe he's a flex for you, I would consider that, but only if you're going to be making trades based on that. Like, if you're going to start Keon Coleman and make trades so that you need to start Keon Coleman, that's what I'd be looking for. Don't draft a player like this if you don't think you're going to be starting him. So if we drafted him in the 10th, we're not likely to start him unless we start up-tiering, trading James Cook and Devontae Adams to get A.J. Brown, something like that, an up-tier like that, and then we're starting Neighbors London Brown and a different receiver and starting Keon Coleman somewhere, something like that. Other players I'm considering here, once we're in the 10th round, we're kind of just shooting our shot. I'm going to go with Jaden Higgins to develop. I know in Houston, he's already practicing in 2 wide receiver sets. I think CJ Stroud is a good quarterback. He's not an amazing fantasy quarterback, but he can support 2 wide receivers. Jaden Higgins drafted very early in the NFL draft, just outside the first round. I like taking the shot there. We drafted ETN. Can we get Tank Bigsby around here? Has he already gone? I would just lock it up. Here, Tank Bigsby. Now we have both options. That's how we want to be thinking about our round 11 and 12 picks. And here we're looking for probably just an extreme dart throw. In the past, I've gone with guys like Dylan Sampson. But now that Quinshon Judkins is probably playing, I might take a shot on like J.J. McCarthy. Is Drake May still here? Drake May in the 12th. That's just free. If Drake May hits and is performing, rushing quarterback, can throw, if we start to see signs of big development, I think people are very excited to grab him or trade for him. They don't want to miss out on the next Josh Allen, and that's what people are saying about him. Other things I'm considering here, if your league does not require you to draft a kicker and a defense, I would look at like Zach Ertz, tight end 7 last year. The offense in Washington is tight end friendly. They have Ben Sinnott to maybe take over that role, but Zach Ertz was pretty good on that offense last year. And then last shot, I would take maybe someone like Kyle Williams, rookie wide receiver for New England, to pair with Drake May. Or maybe we shoot for Trevor Lawrence, who could have a big upside year similar to Baker Mayfield last year. Or we'll go for Trey Benson, 14th round, late round pick, good flyer option behind James Conner. That's what we're looking for. The news coming out of Arizona is that it's going to be more of a 2-back split, and we'll know that week 1. So we'll draft him. If we don't see it week 1, we move on. Now, we didn't take a kicker or a defense, which means we're looking to make some 3-for-2 or 2-for-1 trades, or we're just cutting Trey Benson and cutting Zach Ertz, and that's fine too. Alrighty, we've got this one wrapped up. We have done a lot of mock drafts, one from almost every single pick. We're covering all of them. One of them will be on your screen right here. Thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing. Have a good day.